Peace. What is up, my family? I am OnenO. Welcome back to the blog. Today's subject is going to be why I am a vegetarian. So I get this question a lot in my real life when I'm out there on tour and in the world. People start to observe me, they see that I'm vegetarian, and then they inevitably ask me this question, why are you a vegetarian? So I thought I would put this answer forth online so you all can have this information too, and I'd love to hear a comment down below to let me know what you think on this subject as well. But let me jump into it from the beginning. So I grew up being a meat eater my whole life. Steaks, burgers, pepperoni pizza, all the time. In fact, I used to think of vegetation, as being a side on my dish. It was never the main course. And if anything, most of my meals consisted of only meat and grain, like not even getting a lot of real high quality vegetables into my life. I don't even think I knew what kale was up until about 6 years ago on my journey. And so how this all began, because I had no intention of actually becoming a vegetarian, this began when I started taking yoga. And when I started taking yoga, for those of you that practice yoga, you'll know what I'm about to talk about, which is that there's this feeling in your body, this feeling as soon as you come out of a yoga class, you just feel so awake and so refreshed and so fluid and alive. You feel light. My body, when I would walk into a yoga class, would feel like concrete, and when I would leave my yoga class, I'd feel like liquid. So my body would just be elevated. After doing 90 minutes of yoga, I would feel so good. And about 6 months or 9 months into my yoga practice, I started noticing a rather consistent thing, which is that if I would leave yoga class and within the next hour or so, I would eat a steak burrito, which is what I was used to at that time, I would notice how my whole energy system would just tank. And it was a very different thing than if I had gone to the juice shop and gotten a green juice or a juice with kale and celery and beets and all this fun, high vibrational food. I would notice the difference between how my body would feel. And so one day, the shit really hit the fan, and I was helping a friend of mine move. And I was kind of the point man for helping the move all happen. So I was in charge of helping the boxes come from inside into the truck. And so we had packed up my friend's entire house and moved it into this moving truck. And then we took a break for some food before we changed locations to unload all of the stuff. When we took a break for food, I had a steak burrito, and it hit my guts so heavy that I actually became incredibly agitated that I had to still be physically active for another few hours to unpack this truck at the other location. And I noticed that it was so profound how agitated and upset I became and fatigued that I decided to do this little experiment with myself. And the experiment was, what would happen if I just stopped eating red meat? I didn't actually cut out all meat at this time. I just decided to cut out red meat. And so about 6 months went by, and I noticed I had no cravings for it. My body felt, if anything, I felt more awake and more alive by having cut out red meat from my diet. So then at the 6-month mark, I decided to cut out chicken. And then I decided to cut out pork, and then I decided to cut out fish. And then slowly, over about the course of a year, I became fully vegetarian. And I didn't ever set out to say, I want to be vegetarian. I was just experimenting to see how my body would react to cutting out meat from my life. And about a year into this experiment is when I officially decided that I'm vegetarian and I wanted to pursue the vegetarian diet. And then at the same moment in time, I went through a yoga teacher training, and I was getting deeper into the philosophy of yoga. And the philosophy of yoga starts with one main point, which is, it's called ahimsa. And this translates roughly to do no harm. And so, given my Christian upbringing of the golden rule of treat your neighbor as you would treat yourself, applied to this idea of ahimsa, which is do no harm, I then extended the golden rule to all beings. Why should I consume an animal who has gone through an extensive amount of harm to get to my dinner plate? Why should that be okay in my philosophy of life. And the truth is it wasn't. And so this principle of ahimsa became the main principle that I try to treat every being on the planet Earth with. I come from this perspective with anybody or any animal, any person, anything that I'm dealing with. So that's where I sit with it now. When I look at the consumerism model of meat and how industrialized the process of meat has become, it disturbs me, and I genuinely want to change that in our country, in my world. And so I believe that when I spend money on anything, I'm voting for that thing to continue. And so if I'm voting with my money, I would now like to spend my money on other things. And what I would like to vote for with my money is for plant-based diets. Because plant-based diets not only are incredibly healthy for you, they are sustainable upon the planet and they cause no harm. They don't harm any animals. They don't harm any beings to consume plants. And so, but let me actually open up one more perspective. You might ask as well, why am I not vegan? And the reason why I'm not vegan is because I think that there are certain animal products, you could say, like honey or eggs, that you can get from an ethically grown source. And what I mean by that is I completely disagree with the harm that comes to animals from the industrial side of eggs or the industrial side of honey. But the industrial side of those things is not the only way you can source these products. You can get locally grown eggs. You can go to your farmer's market, your locally farmed eggs, and you can eat those from very healthy eggs that are from chickens and hens that are doing what comes naturally to them. An egg comes naturally out of a hen, so it doesn't cause harm upon a hen to lay an egg. What causes harm upon a hen is when you do that in an industrialized fashion where the chicken has absolutely no room to live and breathe and have a normal, comfortable life. Same goes true with honey. Honey is a natural product that bees make. And when we industrialize that product, I believe we're causing harm upon the bee. But to just consume honey, I don't think is actually causing harm upon a bee. So that's my perspective. I would love to know your perspective. We will probably agree in some areas and we'll probably disagree in other areas. But I ask one main thing for the comment section down below. Instead of being judgmental and cutty with your opinion and just using harsh words to try to convey your point, I'm always open to an intellectual debate, a philosophy-based debate. So leave me a comment down below and tell me what you think. Don't tell me I'm stupid, or don't call other people in the comment section stupid. I would never label a meat eater stupid, because I believe that if I'm going to judge somebody else, then I'm just perpetuating judgment in the world. So do I disagree with meat eaters? Yeah. But am I going to judge somebody to the point where I can't see them through a loving and compassionate lens? No. They're on their path. All I can do is choose for myself what I would like to do with my life, which is to not consume meat. And I do believe that if we all got on this page, that our world would be better. But I can't force anybody. So my judgment upon meat eaters doesn't actually help the situation. And so I ask for the same. If you agree with me, awesome, we're on the same page. If you disagree with me, I ask for you to not judge me in my process. Just explain to me why you live and do the things that you do, and perhaps I can actually learn from that and I can grow and change my perspectives. Because that's my whole goal for this blog, is to create conversation. And conversation does not come about if you judge each other. If you say, well, you're terrible because you still eat honey. How can you call yourself awake or enlightened if you still consume eggs? Look, those are just terms and words, awake, enlightened. All I'm trying to do is be the best human being I can be. And this is how far I've gotten in my journey. And I know that there's more to go. But considering where I came from, where all I was eating was burgers and pizza with meat all over it and like steaks and chicken and all that all the time, I feel like I've come a really far way. And this is not the end of my journey. This is just where I'm at right now. So I thought I would share that with you. And like I said, I want to hear from you. So leave a comment down below. Share this video with a friend if you think it's entertaining and informational. Give me a like. And if you want, you can go support me over on Patreon. I've got OnenO t-shirts for sale. And none of that is mandatory. It's just a way that you can help support me here on YouTube and continue to do what I love to do, which is talk to you. So until I see you again along the journey, oneness in sound, I am OnenO. Peace out, y'all.